What's going on, y'all? We in here for another episode of Bleav in Kentucky, alongside UK's fifth all-time leading scorer, 00, Tony Delp. My name is Vinny Hardy. What's up with you, TD?
Man, I am happy to be here today. It's a beautiful day here in Atlanta. So, I'm going to take advantage of this nice weather and get outside and go and watch a little youth basketball here in an hour. So I'm excited to go to the gym and not really have to have too warm clothes. I got my shorts on right now. So
It's short
it's feeling
weather.
real good right about now.
That's your
I don't
kind
know
of
how long,
weather.
I don't know how long it's going to last, but for the moment, I'm enjoying it.
Absolutely. Y'all already know we brought to you courtesy of the Bleav Podcast Network, number one podcast network for professionals. Go to Bleav.com, subscribe, rate, review anywhere you get your podcast. You can find us. Speaking of warm weather, man, you talk about Phoenix was your favorite city. A friend of ours, her name is Catherine. She's from the Tucson area. She was telling my buddy Joey, who's a Tennessee fan, but listen to this podcast. She was talking about the caliche type soil out there that's so hard that nothing grows, and when it rains out there it floods. Nobody has grass in their yards out there in Arizona. How odd was that for you, being from the South, where we got green leaves and trees and grass? How different was it when you got out there and was living out there to just not see anything green?
You know what? It was a different scenery for me, and I was kind of wanted to do something different. Like when you grow up and see green, pretty much your whole life, I really was excited to see desert because I didn't. You think about desert, you're not really thinking about anyone really living in desert because it's so hot. And when I got to Phoenix, I guess just to seeing the different homes, seeing some palm trees, but being in a city that was just nice. I mean, it's one of the nicest cities that you can visit and live in, although it gets really hot between May and probably like August. But other than that, I mean, I really enjoy living in Phoenix. If you had water there, I mean, you probably would be, if not the number one growing the city, it would be definitely top of the list. But just how I enjoyed it, it was an experience that even now as I reflect back on it, I really just enjoyed my time. I enjoyed playing out there. And your body responds differently to warmer weather. And some of the places I played, Massachusetts, Michigan, with the
Mm.
Pistons and playing with the Celtics, those are like really cold places, and it takes your body longer to warm up. And there was something about Phoenix, and even um, me playing out there a year and a half, that whole season, I never missed a game, and my body felt the best it ever felt before. So that was another reason why when I chose to go to Phoenix Suns when I left Sacramento, which was another, really nice place to live and had a great team setting. Phoenix, there was just something special about it. And even going back to my first ever visit there back in 1996 when they invited the top seniors out, and there was this tournament called the Desert Classic. So the Desert Classic would invite all the top seniors from most of the conferences around the country. And when I first got there, I was like, wow, there's something I like about this city. You know what I'm saying? I really didn't get a chance to see it the way I did as a player. But
Mhm.
just my first experience, I was like, man, if I ever become a free agent, I'm going to move here. And the first time I became a real free agent and I can make a little money, I
Mhm.
bounced.
Man, so it's just you were just drawn to it. The first time you were there, you were just drawn to the city.
I was in love with the city, man. I mean, and there's places that, as you travel, you really like, when you think about vacations, the vacation spot that most people like to go to is like nice warm weather. And it's not so much about the humidity because Phoenix has dry heat, but I
Mhm.
just like just driving around and seeing, like I said, the stucco homes. When you live
Yeah.
in the South, you see different homes. I'm like, man, it's different out here. So it's a different experience. And I think everyone who gets a chance to visit different parts of the country and live in different parts of the country. I was fortunate enough to have been traded so many times. I got a chance to see different cities and live in different states.
That's all right. So once she was talking about that, and I was like, man, I got to ask you about just the soil. It doesn't soak up the rainwater. Nothing grows. So I knew I had to ask you about that next time we had the episode. But man, it is March. and it's gonna be it's a weird March. It's SEC tournament time.
Yeah.
And our cats come in having to run the table in order to get to the big dance. Our backs are against the wall, TD. We got to win 4 games in 4 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, if they're going to be part of the big dance. That's just foreign territory for us.
And you know what, man? We heard Kevin Garnett say, but he also had Paul Pierce and Ray Allen and Rajon Rondo on his team to say anything is possible.
Yeah. That's right.
Now, if we play 4 games, if we play South Carolina 4 times, I'll be okay. I'm like, you know what? It's very capable of happening. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can really pull this off. Oh man, it's gonna be tough because when you get to, let's say if we were to get to Saturday, your legs are gone. And I tell people this all the time. I played Friday, Saturday, Sunday, every SEC tournament. And I won, before we lost to Mississippi State, I had won 11 games in a row. So won SEC tournament as a freshman, SEC tournament as a sophomore, SEC tournament as a junior, and we lost in the championship game my senior season to Mississippi State. But every time we got to Sunday, I had nothing left. It was just like on fumes. And we had a deep team where it didn't matter if I had a great game, you know, someone else could always come in. But it takes a toll on your body because the intensity, the game intensity is a lot different than practice. So even when you practice, it's like practice 3 hours, I'm cool. I can go back to the room and I'm fine. Like I can recover the next day. But from a game, it would always take me 2 days to recover because it was just, I exerted so much energy. And so by the time I got to Sunday, I had nothing left. So looking at these cats, man, it would be a miracle because they don't really have the depth. Like you really got to have a 9-10 man roster. And you need a 1 or 2 blowouts there. You need one of those games they played against South Carolina where now you're putting in the 10th and 11th guy. He's getting some runs and you're saving him legs. So teams know that. And that's what it really makes all tournaments, you know, from all the conferences, you know, when you see that team go out and win 3 games in a row, or even 4 games. I think one time did UConn win 5 with Kemba Walker? The year they won the national championship, they had to win like 4 or 5 games. And that year, we actually faced them twice that year. We faced them in Maui, and they beat us. And then we faced them in the Final Four with Kemba again. Kemba and I think Napier. Napier was another one of the backcourt point guards that played in the league some years. I don't know if he's still in the league now. And I mean, he went on a run. He went on probably a run like we've never seen before. You know, from winning the Big East tournament, winning 4 or 5 games. I want to think it was 5. I could be wrong. And then getting to the NCAA tournament and winning 6 more games. I mean, that had never been done. And I'm not talking about a 6'9", 6'10". We're not talking about Tim Duncan, you know, Kevin Durant, you know, someone who dominated Christian Laettner, which I know everyone in Kentucky hates, probably one of the top 5 best players in the Final Four, you know, who's played, you know, like I said, played in multiple games, won multiple championships. And when you look at the run that Kemba Walker went, I mean, it was special, man. It was just special that we faced him early in the season to see what he did in the Big East tournament and to come back Final Four and deliver again, you know, and like I said, makes him the player he is today, you know, all-star, you know, just signed a huge deal last year. But, you know, it really has to be the people on your team focus, and you have to have more than one player. You know, like I said, you know, when you get to the Final Four, you need 1 or 2 pros on your team. I mean, and I think that's where the game changed so much, where this generation is all about not going somewhere and let me get my 25, 30 points. You're not going to get to the Final Four and you're not going to win. But the toughest game, I'm going to tell you, Vinny, was every year was that Elite 8 game to get to the Final Four. Like most people just forget about that. They talk about Sweet 16, Final Four. Your toughest game is the Elite 8 game. Because even the year we lost in 1995, we lost to North Carolina, and they went on to go to Final Four, of course. That was such a grueling game. When I tell you it took so much out of us, we lost it. And I'm just sitting back in the locker room. I'm reflecting, like, man, our season's over with. Like, we got this far, and I don't want to be disappointed again. So, that's just how it works. That's how the NCAA tournament is. The SEC tournament is about the same. You got to win those 3 games. So for Kentucky to win 4, I just don't think they have the depth to do it. I know they don't have the depth to do it. Now, if they do it, I mean, hey, man, I'll be very happy on Sunday, selection Sunday. I don't care what seed we get, 8, 9, 10, 13, 14. That doesn't matter.
Yeah, for sure. And you talk about having to just the blowouts and to get on that kind of run. And you mentioned playing South Carolina, 4 times in a row. Well, that's not going to be the case, because it's going to be Mississippi State Thursday.
Tough
get
game.
Past that one. Get past that. Yeah, it took overtime in Starkville, and it took Dante Allen going off to beat them in Starkville. If you get past that one, you get Alabama for the 3rd time on Friday, who, the number 1 seed.
I thought we played Alabama well at home. I thought we had a shot late in the game to win that game, which we did. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's not like, here's the thing, and most people that are listening, it's not like we don't have the talent to play with anyone in our conference. Like, I don't think anyone in our conference is that more superior than we are. Mm-hmm. And we're not an inferior opponent to anyone in our conference. But you must have someone late game that you can throw the ball to, and they can get consecutive buckets. We can get stops. But now, when it comes down, is it Mintz? Is it Sarr? Who's going to be able to score for us? Mm-hmm. So that's where it gets a little dicey when you say, okay, yeah, win the game. But it's like, okay, who's our closer? Because every team, when you get to the SEC tournament, they get to the championship game, Big East, it doesn't matter the conference. When it's a close game, you know who you want the ball, who you want to put the ball, who hands you want to put the ball in. And I'm not certain who is that person for us. Mm-hmm. Is it Mintz? Is it Sarr? Is it Boston? I mean, which one of these players do we trust late in the game to say, go get us a bucket? And then not only can you get us a bucket, can you get us another bucket? Can you get to the foul line? Can you draw and dish to someone and that person's ready to shoot? That's what we haven't had all year. And some of that goes back to preseason when, we never had the chemistry, and it's a lot better now. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like if we had one more month, if our record was different, I really would trust this team, because I've seen how they have grown, not to the level of to make our Kentucky faithful happy, but you got to look at where they're at, you know what I'm saying? And having so many young players, man. So the question I have to ask you, when you see a young team like this, like, if you were a coach, what conversation do you have about, what is our identity?
It's been such a moving target all year. Like you said, who do you trust? Who's, what roles are defined? Is it Sarr? We thought it was going to be Sarr. We thought he was a missing piece at the start.
I never thought it was going to be Sarr. Here's the thing. I'm not to cut you off, but when you have a player that put his name in a draft, and I always said, like, you put your name in, either you're a pro or you're not a pro, and they'll come back and find you, you still might get a shot. But to come back, you got to be better. Like, you got to give me 15 to 20 points on a nightly basis. Like what Quick, and I always mention these 2 guys, like PJ Washington and Quickly. Them dudes came back, they were better. You know what I'm saying? And you see both of them, in the rotation. PJ starting, Quickly could be a starter, if he really wanted to. But they like his firepower off the bench. And that's what I'm saying. Like, okay, you put your name out there as a pro. So now when you come back, show them dudes, okay, now, I'm a pro. But it has to be numbers. You have to deliver. And I think Coach Kyle said it best. What Kentucky does, Kentucky puts you on the biggest stage. So if your game is trash, if your game ain't where you think is that, Kentucky will expose you, because you got so many televised games. Everyone's watching. Cal is best friends and knows everyone in the NBA on every team. Mm-hmm. And there's always going to be scouts coming into that practice or game. So, and it's just, that's what I'm saying. Like, when I thought about Sarr, I'm like, okay, he's a good role player. But if that's what we throwing the ball to him, he's supposed to win us a game. Man, that ain't Karl Anthony Towns. I mean, that's Karl Anthony Towns. I'm like, I'm rocking with you. No, I'm not rocking with him.
Is it, which he wasn't consistent in the ACC, but he put up some good numbers in against Notre Dame, North Carolina, so has some double-doubles thrown in there. Is it that big of a difference switching from the ACC to the SEC? Is that what it is? Or was it Cal's system compared to what he had been playing in? Or
I think he was a piece in a puzzle. And it wasn't like he was a star player. So there's different kind of pressure on certain players. You know what I'm saying? And was Wake Forest depending on Sarr to get them 25, 30 points on a nightly basis? No. You know, if he gave them 15, 8, they were fine with it, you know, because as you see right now, and what the reason why he wasn't a pro, inconsistency. And we've seen that throughout this year. So you're not tricking me with having one good game. And that's the difference in somebody coming in and watching you and say, man, you're a pro. You had like 25 and 13 and maybe 5 or 6 blocks against North Carolina or Duke in the ACC. But you also get up for them opponents. Okay, so let's say we go play someone else, you know. Are you that same player? Are you just going to be that one time we're going to get up for this team right here? Are you going to play the same way against Virginia Tech? Like so now you pique my interest now. You give me 25, 12, and 5. I'm like, oh, man, I like this player. You did it against Duke or North Carolina. I'm following you. Then you come back and give me 12 and 6, 8 and 5. And then you give me 15 and 1.
Right.
Then you might give me 5 and 4. I don't trust you.
Oh, up and down.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So when you start seeing these kind of players, watch how they do for about a 5 to 10 game stretch. Okay. Because that's when a coach can sleep easy at night, knowing, man, this dude, he give me 20 points a night. That's it. I mean, that's a pro. Like with Quickly, we start knowing what Quickly was gonna give us every game. Like after we got it a few games, I'm like, okay, man, this dude can play now. Like there's no. I'm not deceived. I'm not looking at him saying, man, you know what? All right, this dude, he'll give it to you every once in a while. No, man, he became consistent and he was giving people buckets. He got to the foul line. He started playing with so much confidence that's something you can't teach that. You know, that's me working on my game and also believing in me, but also having a coach that say, hey, man, throw him the ball. And here's the thing that players recognize. Players recognize other dudes that can make buckets, that can get buckets, that can score. And that's just how Quickly was. And you see him right now on the next level doing the same thing, man. They know. We know within, I think players know within an hour or two of you practicing if you could play.
Now, Cal has never been a fan of the SEC tournament. We know this because you don't play 3 games in a row in the SEC tournament. You got a Friday, Sunday, you got a Thursday, Saturday, you got a day in between. You don't have to win 3 in 3 days. How was it when you were on the staff when Kentucky's coming in and it didn't matter because you already had won the regular season title, you're gonna get a good seed. How much did he really let on that he hated the tournament? You know, we just win it for the fans is basically what his motivation was every year.
I think it's hard to say because, you know, I think you want to win. You work hard to win the regular season, and then you want to put yourself in position to win the SEC tournament because, you know, you're still playing for. I hate that our game is not maybe on Saturday because that has affected whoever wins the championship. It doesn't always help their seeding. But if you had that game in by Saturday, so when the committee get together and on Sunday, they have already kind of like saying, okay, it's almost like winning the SEC tournament is a wash. And it shouldn't be because you should still respect, you know, one of your Power 5 conferences. You know, it might not be the Kentucky every year that wins it, but, you know, whoever wins this year, you got to respect what they've done throughout their conference. And then during the pandemic, I mean, you got to look at what happened last year to some of these teams, you look at a Texas A&M. I mean, Texas A&M, I mean, they've been off for like 2 or 3 weeks. They haven't had a consistent schedule, so, and that breaks your routine. It really hurts your continuity, your chemistry. You're trying to make sure that your players are, following the proper protocols. And so it's even more pressure now, to kind of achieve something like that. So, this is a tricky year. But even with Coach Cal, when I was on the staff, I mean, we wanted to win. We didn't go into, them players wanted to win. Even though, it's grueling, you want to make sure that your players, stay healthy. But that's where I'm saying, like, your depth comes into play. Like, you got to have like 10, 11 guys. And if you try to ride 6 guys for 3 straight days, I mean, your legs gonna be gone. You really gonna need, even when the NCAA tournament, March Madness officially starts and we have our 68 teams, your legs, you have to have like 2 or 3 days off, man, just to recover from that grueling tournament, and even if you were to already know you got a bid, if you lose, let's say you lose Saturday, you still got time to rest your body and rest your legs. And I think that's what Cal, is more when he look at the side of, okay, how much do I really want to be here? What are we getting out of this? Are we still playing for a number 1, number 2 seed? And if you're not really playing for the number 1 seed, and let's say the committee is already, when we go into the SEC tournament, they already had us like a number 2 or a 1 after two games. Well, now as a coach, you want to make sure everybody is healthy. And I always look at it as preparation for the NCAA tournament because, I think you say to your players, it's good to be in a position that if we lose, we still are in the NCAA tournament. So it takes some of the pressure off.
Mm-hmm. Now, one of the little tweaks that's been made here recently, past couple games, they put Davion Mintz at the point against Ole Miss, and they played him again at the point against South Carolina. He had, I think, 20-7 Saturday against South Carolina. He hit 5 threes again, just like he did at Tennessee. Maybe of all the guys, maybe he's the one that you try to give him the ball. If you trust the most as far as getting a bucket is concerned, I Bleav maybe Mintz is going to be that guy on this team as much as there's going to be a guy like that on this team.
I think so. I think when you look at Mintz, he is playing a lot differently than he played early in the season. And, the confidence is there, just, getting that last game at home and seeing that ball go through the net, and for his teammates to see it, because like I said, it's been a tough season for our players, and just because, there is always pressure to perform at the highest level and be the best team in a conference. They still are young players. They're not the experienced players that we've traditionally been used to having. And it takes longer. And here's the thing about it, growing pains. We've seen them. Mm-hmm. And there's been so many growing pains, like, man, okay, he plays well, then he doesn't play well. He's in the lineup, he's out of the lineup. Yeah. He's the starter now. Oh, he's not the starter anymore. Oh, so that's what I'm saying. Like it's been a difficult year for our guys. And it's been a difficult year. I think about Coach Cal, everything that he's done with the team, and just trying to make sure I keep these guys focused, make sure they're staying healthy and they're buying in. And then it's hard to get players to buy in when you're losing, because it's like, okay, but they had so many games they were in, so many close games. And like I said earlier, they just didn't have that closer. They probably, if they had a closer, we probably would have 5 or 6 more victories.
Yep.
Easily.
Yeah. There's maybe a glimmer of hope that, maybe Terrence Clark is ready or will play.
I forgot about him.
Yeah. At this point of the year, he hadn't played since December. And we mentioned, him and Keon never played together. What do you think could you logically or reasonably expect from a guy like that with that long of a layoff, and then you throw him out there in the SEC tournament?
Not much.
Mm-hmm.
He might give you 1 good game, when you've had that kind of layoff, and it's, like I said, it's a different intensity, in the game compared to practice. Like, if he had maybe 5 games under his belt, I would be like, okay, you know what? He got a shot. He got it. Like, I know he can go out there, because it's not like he can't play basketball, but the speed of the game is different. And that's what I'm saying. Like, he's been off for like months. He ain't just been off. We ain't just missed like 2 or 3 games. He's been gone since like the beginning of the season. Mm-hmm. And for him to come back, I mean, what only thing I could say he could give you is he give you size in the body. He give you an athlete. But if you rely on him to be a 15 to 20 point scorer, he might get you 15, 20 one game. But he can't. To me, there can't be pressure on him, to come back and kind of be that top tier player that he was. I mean, just what I would say, hey, I don't know if you're going to put his name in the draft, come back, let's try this thing over again, get you a full season under your belt. Don't come back now to try to perform, to show the scouts, or, just to be like, okay, I'm back now, I'm looking good. And you get re-injured or you look bad. They'd be like, ooh, you might need, you probably need to go back to college. So, I mean, it's to do what for this team to come back. Let's say we win 2 games, we lose the third. Our season's over anyway. So we it's not like we fighting for our season. We are, but we're not.
Absolutely. Got to take a second to talk about our sneaker sponsor with eBay. We send these exact same commercials on TV. Whether rare dead stock or the latest release, find the exact shoe you're looking for. As the original sneaker marketplace, eBay is the place to go to cop the pair you've been eyeing. With eBay's authenticity guarantee, your sneakers are meticulously inspected by independent professional authenticators. A team of experienced sneaker authenticators verify the box, logo, stitching, and dozens of other inspection points. Each sneaker also receives an authenticity guarantee tag that includes a digital stamp of authenticity, and it also protects sellers with a verified return process. And for sneaker sellers out there, eBay has eliminated selling fees on sneakers $100 and up, making it free to sell or flip your collection. So go to ebay.com/sneakers today. eBay, the world's best destination for discovering great value and unique selection. ebay.com/sneakers. They got the commercials on TV when you're watching the game. So the sneakerheads go in there and sell, buy, whatever you want to do with your collection on eBay. Speaking of mints, we all know he transferred here from Creighton. His former coach, Greg McDermott, was just in the news, just coming off of suspension for his comments after they lost to Xavier, where he said, quote, "Guys, we got to stick together. We need both feet in. I need everybody to stay on the plantation. I can't have anybody leave the plantation." And got himself suspended for a game. I think he's back now for the Big East tournament. But I don't know if Mintz had been asked about that with him having ties to Creighton. I mean, Jerry Tipton might have thrown that question at him in the session. You never know.
I'm sure Jerry found him.
But McDermott was suspended, and that was, the big news off the court or post game for this past week.
I think, like I said, it's a sensitive subject for especially our culture. And when you look at it, you look at the older culture. When they hear plantation, I mean, they cringe when they hear something like that. Our generation, I feel the same way. It's like, your freedom is taken away, and we got to stay here. And you are a master. You control our destiny. And to make that statement in this day and time, he's very insensitive, and they should have came down on him a lot harder than what they did. That's where I'm not saying he got to lose his job, but you got to be suspended for 5 or 10, 15, 20 games. Like this message needs to be sent to every coach. If you ever make a statement like that, because that's a racial statement to our culture, telling us that, hey, you know what, do what I say, and you can't, and anything else, you will be punished for it. So, the punishment wasn't hard enough for me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you came out, you apologize because, like I said, someone that, you put that out there, and it's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you think that's cool to put out and have people look at that and say, you understand what you just said? Like, so have you always felt that way when you've had Black players? You know what I'm saying? So maybe the truth comes out not only from a player like Mintz, but from other guys who played for him. I'm like, okay, you know, you have assistant coach that's Black. So you recruited these Black players. And to think in your mind that that's going to fly, that's going to be cool. Absolutely not. And it's going to be hard to walk in somebody's household now, because with social media is kind of like I said about Kentucky basketball player. You get exposed, man. So Twitter, Instagram, these different social media sites, you said something like that, everyone is going to see, everyone is going to hear about it. So what do you do to clean it up? You know, it's more than just saying, okay, man, I apologize. Like, you really gotta, when you recruit these players, you got to go back in their household. You got to go into somebody, to a household, a Black household, and they remember, they hear what you said. So is that how you really feel about my son? Because now I don't trust my son. And not to say that he's a bad coach, but you are insensitive to how our people, let's say century ago, decades ago, how we were treated. Mm-hmm. And we do have a platform now where we are in position where we can speak out and, you know, tell you how we feel about it. Because now it's different when you're on this side. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you're on the Black side and we're not out there trying to look for, you know, any sympathy. I don't think myself, I don't look for sympathy, you know, but when you say something like that, and you have our young 18, 19-year-old men, it's that does affect them. We've moved on. Like, I'm not a college player anymore. So Coach McDermott does nothing for me right now. But what he does is he's teaching young Black men and young white men, because it's not even the black men. It's how the white players will treat us and how they look at us. Because if they see his mindset is like that, what makes them think any differently about the Black players? Because if my head coach, who's white, can say this and he feels this, so it goes back to your parents. Because, and I've said this on a previous podcast, no child, Black, white, Mexican, Chinese, is born racist.
Right, exactly. And like you said, we're not looking for sympathy. We're not going around looking for stuff to be offended by. We're not going around looking for stuff to be like, oh, I'm offended by that. But as a coach, as a motivator, you know, you started the statement off, guys, we need to stick together. You've heard that as a player many times.
Absolutely.
There's so many different ways that you can get your point across to motivate guys. We got to stick together. We got.
Let's stop there.
We gotta lock in, yes. Stay connected. All kind of things to say what he said without going there.
Yes.
You know.
But when you bring the plantation, I was like,
and you play you play for the motivator of all motivators to push your buttons and say what needs to be said to get you to where he thinks you should be playing at without using that, you know. So
yeah. Because I think as like now, because of what happened years ago, 50, 60 years ago, all that comes back, especially if that's what my parents endured, because my parents was much older than my peers. You know, my mom was, you know, my dad was born in 1918. My mom was like 19. She was in like the late 20s. So they experienced a lot. Yeah. And I do mean a lot. Just think about when my dad was born. What happened in the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. It got better each decade. You know, it got better each decade. But my parents experienced what people hear about in the 50s. My parents lived in the 50s. Right. My parents lived in the 40s. So they understood, they saw our leaders get killed. They heard about Martin Luther King, Medgar Evers get killed, Malcolm X get killed. That message was sent to our culture. And even though we're in, you know, 2021, it's our history. And we don't try to relive our history, but when it comes back, and it's like, you can't say something like that when we experienced that. We, like, our ancestors lived that. His ancestors didn't live that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's very insensitive. And to suspend him for what? It should have been the whole season. Like, dude, you might need to go and do some more interviews and talk to some more Black people just to see, okay, Why would you say that? Like what's your, because to me it's deeper than that. It's something that either he was okay with, he's okay with hearing, or he's doing hanging out with his friends or his family members, his parents. Because certain things were, in my household, were unacceptable. Like we never talked about racism. Like my parents never talked about what white people did. Like and my parents, like I said, they lived through some when I say some tough times, man, it was some tough time. Like we grew up without having a car. We had to walk places. We knew that, okay, our culture was definitely third and fourth class at some point. Second class would even, we never considered ourselves being second class in this country. You know, we've actually kind of gotten better now, but that's what I'm saying. Like for me to hear that, I'd be like, I could imagine our coach saying that, Coach Pitino said that, or any of my coaches I played for, and me go back and tell my parents, like, you know what the coach just said to me? You know how upset my mom and dad would have been, because they would have been like, that young man don't know what we experience as a Black culture. And for him to say that, you know what I'm saying? She would want me to transfer. She'd be like, you know what? I'm never coming there. I don't want to see him again.
Because, you know, you entrust your kid to go play for that person, and then that changes the way. Well, maybe I don't trust you coaching my child for 4 years. Maybe I rethink this decision.
Here's another thing too. If you could set it in front of us, imagine what you're saying behind us, behind our back. That's what most people don't understand, is that if you got the nerve to say that in today's time, when you've seen what has happened the last 2 years, what's happened decades ago, is that you feel comfortable saying that. Like you felt comfortable saying that before. Because that's to me, that's me being comfortable saying it. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh shoot. Because when you uncomfortable, like it'd be like, oh man, like because everybody should have been shocked. But at the end of the day, you know, he got to understand, like, man, you got young players that these dudes, you know, they're looking at you as a leader. You're the leader in the room. And yeah, you know, we're all bought in. Coach, whatever you say, we're gonna do. You know, we are locked in, and you know, we trying to stay connected the best we can, and we have done that. So, like you said, once it started going deeper and deeper, then it's like, okay, yeah, on the plane, huh? What, Coach, man, you just lost me.
Yeah.
What? We on the plantation now? Okay, cool.
That's it. I got a couple little mailbag questions from some listeners, because y'all can always follow the Bleav Podcast Network at Bleav Podcast, but we got Bleav in Kentucky Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages, just BLEAVIN Kentucky. Follow, like, put questions and comments there. So I'm gonna bring up a couple for you, TD, before we wrap it up, and work in some more in some upcoming episodes. My dude Mike Patton from out of Nashville, he covers your Titans, Sports Awakening website, and he hosts a Touring the AFC South podcast. My dude Mike Patton wanted to know what it was like for you having two nephews, Richard and Reginald, playing for Mississippi State. Did you root for them with you being a Kentucky alum? Were you torn? Were you conflicted? What was that like for you when you got family playing for Mississippi State, playing against your Kentucky Wildcats?
It's all, man, family's family, man. They're my nephews. I love them dudes. That's, you know, their daddy taught me how to play basketball. He helped me advance my game. So there's nothing but love, you know, just for my nephews, that they were able to get a free ride to college, to get scholarships, you know. And not only did they get scholarships, both of their sisters got basketball scholarships. So my brother, 4 kids, all got a free ride to college. And it stemmed from just, you know, the hard work, just having, you know, their mom was a high school teacher. So it's the influence where it helps having the right parents, you know what I'm saying? So when you have the right parents, those parents do make a difference.
For sure.
And that's the one thing I could say, the beautiful thing I could say about just when you get a chance to look at what they were able to accomplish. You want to be a college graduate, and that's just an opportunity that they were given.
Man, Bill Hart sent in the question, maybe are there similarities or differences with the speed of the game now versus the speed of the game when you were playing?
I think the speed of the game, really, there's not any difference in the speed of the game. It's more about, and we shot a lot of, you know what? It's funny. I thought we shot a lot of threes at Kentucky, and at the rate these guys are shooting threes, it's like 20, 25, 30. And that's, and Coach Pitino's style was, you can't take a long two, you check out, you be taking out a game if your foot is on the line. So but he didn't stress it the way these coaches stressing it now. So it's just that I think we have so many players that are so mesmerized by that 3-point line that it's really hurt the mid-range game. It's hurt the ability to drive, and it hurts our kids because our young kids, before they can even shoot threes, they're out there throwing the ball up and having bad form. Footwork is not good. Instead of them working on 4 feet to 8 feet to 12 feet to 16 to 20 to get yourself out to the 3-point line. That's what has really hurt the game.
Yes, you guys get in there now, and it's so foreign to them. I don't know what to do. I'm not supposed to shoot from here. What you can see them, you can see their mind working, like they're wide open in the paint and don't know what to do. Oh my! And so it's so they're taught, don't shoot in here. Don't take this mid range. You're right. They have no idea what they should do when they get in there. Adam Griggs from Big Blue Express covers UK football for them. Wants to know, what was more fun, your Kentucky career or your NBA career?
I like my Kentucky career. I think it was fun. And I'd say NBA wasn't fun. We just had so much chemistry, and I got a chance really to grow as a player and stay in Lexington for 4 years. I was traded quite a bit in the NBA, so I never really got a chance to build a solid foundation. Like it was a foundation. Like Lexington became home for 4 years. Mm-hmm. And that's the difference when, and all of us players to tell you, it's, money is great, but if you could just stay somewhere and be coached and have the same teammates and be in a system, it makes life easier. And that's what Kentucky did for me, to see me go from a freshman not playing a lot to a senior win a national championship. You saw my growth. You saw me come in as a young man and leave as a man. And the NBA it's a business. You get traded. You might get traded midway through the season. You become a free agent. You sign with a team. You with that team, they trade you away. It's a lot of more moving parts. And it's really about the organization. What's best for them. It's not what's best for the players. Like when you recruit a player, that player becomes like a surrogate to you. Like that's your son, that's your child. And it was hard on the NBA level because you didn't want to get attached to the coaches, the system, or the city. And especially as a role player, if you were a superstar, you had leverage. You can control your destiny. But if you're a role player, not even remotely close. It's like you're playing well, and all of a sudden, hey, they decide to trade you. I mean, what you gonna do? You can't stop the trade. So I think that's the difference for me, is the stability that I felt at Kentucky that I didn't have in NBA.
Yeah. Ronnie Phelps says that you were his favorite UK player. He just wants to know what your favorite memory was of your time at Kentucky.
My favorite memory would be, I don't think anything is better than winning a championship. I played a lot of games, scored a lot of points, but just winning that championship, man, and leaving college as a winner, winning your last college game. That's the difference. When I look back and reflect on my career, is that I won my last collegiate game. And not too many people can say that. And on a really good team. And as I stated earlier, going back to high school, and I had a good high school team, but we needed and what we're seeing now, players are going to play with other good players because you need 2 or 3 players, whether it's high school, college, NBA. You need another stud. You need another guy on the other side or 2 guys that when he gets to that final game, if you're off, somebody can pick you up. And that's what we had in Kentucky. Like I said earlier, when we got the SEC tournament, even though I was still on the court, I still was respected. If I had a bad game, my teammates could take up the slack. They could step in and give me the 10 to 15 points that I would always give you. But I like I said, my legs wasn't in it. It wasn't like I was there, but the physical part of it, and like I say, the mental part of it, it's the difference. So just being mentally strong. I mean, I think that's what a lot of people understand when you're playing at on these different levels. It's the mental toughness that comes with you.
Got one from George Delatorre. He's from LA. And of course, we talked a couple podcasts ago about, you and Kobe getting it in. He just wants to know about your memories with Sacramento playing against the Shaq and Kobe Lakers. What was it like? We talked about going against the Bulls and Pippen. What was it like going against Shaq and Kobe?
Well, like I said, Kobe's the only dude that got me with a baseline dunk. I didn't see. I was surprised by it, but he caught me. He spin off me when baseline, and I didn't think he was gonna dunk. So I jumped, and it was like, oh, he got me. You know what I'm saying? But just during that time, I was only in Sacramento for a year, but it was an intense rivalry that went on for about 4 or 5 years after I left.
Mm-hmm.
But we were the second best team, in California next to the Lakers, and that's how we felt. We didn't worry about, we didn't think about the Clippers. Golden State wasn't good then. They were a bad team, but we were coming. Mm-hmm. And the Lakers knew that, because even the year I left, and this when the first round was only, the first round went 5 games. They won the first 2 in LA, so everybody was like, oh yeah, they about to sweep Sacramento. We went back to Sacramento. We win our 2 games in Sacramento, and then we put the pressure on them. And that was when they won their first NBA champion. But we took them 5 games. And then it took us going back to LA to play them. And, it's so funny that game, it's almost like they needed the Lakers to win. So we knew that it wasn't going to be a great officiated game. And I'm not going to say they cheated. They ended up beating us by 25, 30 points. I'd say it was difficult to stop Shaq. Kobe was Kobe, but it was difficult to stop Shaq. Shaq was a man child. And we really, as much as we had bodies, but we didn't have enough bodies to really slow him down.
Mm-hmm. This one is one I just had to been thinking about, because January the 28th, 2020, you turned 46, and you said that you got injured going up for a dunk. So January 28th, 2021, this year, you turned 47. You said you're feeling a whole lot better this year than you were last year, because you said that quad injury was something to deal with. My question, January 28th, 2022, when you turn 48, are you going to go out there and dunk again?
Man, I'm not, listen, I hadn't even thought about dunking anymore. So, hey, when that happened last year, you know what? It's like sometimes you got to retire. You got to retire from thinking that you can do something that you did 20 years ago or even 8 years ago. I mean, I still was dunking in my 40s easily, but, also you have to get warmed up, and you can't, this is what I tell people when you get older. You can't let your mind play tricks on your body. Mm-hmm. Your mind will make you think you can do something, and your body will tell you, your body will show you that you can't do it. Mm-hmm. Because your body's gonna get injured. So it's like, okay, yeah, you gonna try this? We haven't done this in 5 years. We haven't jumped this high. What are you doing? Oh, all right, okay, cool, go try it. And the body gonna show you something totally different. So what I listen to now, I listen to my body.
I hear you. And we got to get it in. I forgot to squeeze it in last week with Dick Gabriel on, and that was my bad. But we got to talk about La Terrain. Y'all got the 25th anniversary watch for the '96 championship. You got your own Tony Delk watch. Dave and Ben got a variety of watches at La Terrain. Go to laterrain.com, Facebook, Instagram. Check out the collection. BBN, get your commemorative championship watch because, man, that thing is something else. And
yeah, we try to lock everybody in, and work on a date and make sure we got the right people. I think Alan Cutler's going to work with us on some promotion with the watch. Walter McCarty, myself, we're constantly sending out tweets. So, we want to make sure that as we get these watches out, people get get the timepiece. It's a really, really nice timepiece that La Terrain, they spend a lot of time making this watch. And, it means a lot to our 96 team, and those fans that supported us and have gone on to still be Big Blue Nation fans. That championship from 96 was collectively was a bunch of guys that really loved playing with each other. It was, we look back on it and we are part of history, part of one of the greatest teams that ever played, but also a team that we all sacrificed, because all of us could have probably went somewhere else and played and been a star there. But as I stated earlier, we knew we needed each other in order to win a championship. It wasn't going to be the Tony Delk show, the Antoine Walker, Derek Anderson, Walter McCarty, Ron Mercer, Mark Pope. It wasn't going to be our show. But we knew once we came together, kind of like with this watch, is that it takes a team to come up with a great ideal, a great timepiece. But with us, it took us to understand each of our role, each of our importance to us winning this championship and being a part of history. So I'm happy and I'm excited that we can celebrate that.
Absolutely. Last thing, man, just Jason Markham from A Sea of Blue sent me this, and I texted you right before the show. Blog.feedspot.com has the top 15 Kentucky Wildcats podcasts you must follow in 2021, and at that number one spot is Bleav in Kentucky. So I'm just saying we doing something right. We coming in first place in the rankings, and that's cool to see.
Let's keep it going. Hey, keep us number one. That's your goal. We want to stay number one. Number one is great. Number one means our ratings is going to stay up there, and one day we might get paid.
Exactly. Appreciate everybody listening.
Yes, absolutely.
Everybody, putting in comments for TD. Follow at Bleav in Kentucky on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and we'll have another good episode next week. TD, man, looking forward to seeing you doing your thing. You doing TV in Nashville?
I'm doing radio. Tomorrow's game. I'm doing tomorrow's game at 6 p.m. I have the two early games Thursday, two early games Friday, the semifinal games on Saturday, and the championship game on Sunday. And I'm hoping, I'm praying, I'm wishing, our Cats could be there on Sunday.
Absolutely. Is that Sirius XM or
SEC Radio?
Okay, cool. Everybody check TD out. He's doing his thing. He's a natural. SEC Radio, TV. He's been in the game forever. It's been another episode of Bleav in Kentucky. Be safe going to Nashville, man.
Appreciate you, brother. We'll be in touch next week.
All right. Y'all take care. Subscribe, rate, review. For TD, this is Vinny Hardy. We'll see y'all again next week on Bleav in Kentucky.